Sandy, Chicago, Illinois, on the Mark Levin app. Go.
Hi, Mark. This is Sandy from Chicago, Illinois. We own a small manufacturing company, and you are 100% wrong on tariffs.
Uh-oh. Go ahead.
And I am a total conservative and almost a former fan of yours up until this last week. There is no way that the only way that I think is correct is to put a tariff and put that money to reducing small business taxes in the United States.
What do you produce? What does your company do?
It's a metal finishing company.
It's a metal finishing company. So
yes.
If we put a tariff on whom?
I would put a tariff on recently Carrier, Oshkosh Truck, Caterpillar, and Ford.
No, you put a tariff on goods coming into the country from a country. So you would put a tariff on every. Hold on now. You would put a tariff on everything coming into this country made out of metal?
No. Carrier.
What would you do?
Oshkosh, any company that moved there to avoid the high wages and taxes in the United States, and this is my reason. There's no way.
Hold on now. How about if a company wants to move out of Illinois and go to Texas, so they don't have to pay an income tax or high property taxes or high sales taxes?
If we pay no property taxes, we pay no income tax. We can't compete with a $2.50 an hour, which is $5,000 a year income.
So your answer is to drive up the cost to everybody.
And this is why. Do you want to know why?
Because I know, but slow down a second. We're gonna finish. That is a tax on the consumer, and you're saying, fine, go ahead.
That money.
Go ahead.
I want to bring Carrier, Oshkosh, Caterpillar, Apple to the table here. I want them to squirm just like we're squirming.
And hold on now. You want to stick it to them, and who's going to be sitting at the table with them?
They need to come here.
Answer my question. Who's going to be sitting at the table with them?
The American people.
No, the American people are not going to be sitting at the table. None of my listeners are going to be invited to any table. The government will sit at the table. And what do you want the government to do? We
want to have a fair
Not we want,
trade.
You want. What do you want the government to do?
To completely lower the all the regulations and get government off our back.
Well, we don't need them to sit around the table to do that. You said that wouldn't be enough. You said we need to hammer these companies overseas, right?
These big companies are in the back pocket of government, and because they're writing, you know what the
Hold on, don't hang up. My former fan, Sandy. Go ahead, Sandy.
Hi, Mark. Okay, so here's my point. Your former boss, Ronald Reagan, put a tariff on Japanese motorcycles so Harley could reinvent itself, and you know what? It worked. The tariff's off, and
slow down. And then 3 years later, he lifted those tariffs. And he was not a proponent of tariffs. He would never have done what you're suggesting, which is bringing all these companies in and preventing them from going overseas and anything of the sort. Now, understand, even though I worked for him, I didn't agree with everything he did. But that said, that's a 1-off, a 2-off, a 3-off. That's not what you're talking about. That's not what you said, Sandy.
Yes, it is what I'm saying. The tariff would go...
Wait a minute. No, that's not what you're saying. You were talking about all these big companies. Drag them back. Put them around a table and give them hell and tell them what they're going to do. Did Ronald Reagan do that?
I'm not telling them what they're going to do. They're going to tell the companies, tell the government what they're going to do. They're going to lower the burden. They're going to lower the taxes. These companies are going to tell the government what to do.
So you think that the United States Chamber of Commerce hasn't been telling them that? You think these companies haven't been telling their representatives and senators that?
The Chamber of Commerce is crony capitalism.
Okay, listen to me. You're using my own phrases. But that said, that doesn't mean they're in there trying to fight regulations against their own companies. My problem with the Chamber of Commerce is that it supports open-ended immigration and open borders for the most part, among other things.
Belong to the Illinois Manufacturers Association. It does not support American business.
Okay, but do you think Carriage hasn't had a lobbyist or somebody telling their senators that they can't keep doing business like this? In other words, your solution's not a solution, respectfully. Just drag them there, put them around a table, talk to the government, and that's not even going to happen. Who's going to do that?
Oh, what do you mean who's going to do that? You run up the price. You think when Carrier goes to Mexico paying $2.50 an hour that they're going to really lower the cost of the air-conditioned American people?
So why didn't Carrier leave 5 years ago? Carrier's been... Hold on, listen to me and stop yelling. Carrier's been around for a long, long time. They had plants in New York and plants in Illinois and plants all over this country. It's now a much smaller company than it used to be. It's a heavily organized company. It's a heavily regulated company by the EPA, among God knows what else. And finally they've said, you know what, we've had it. It's not like they were looking for a reason to leave. It's not like they said, wow, they're paying $2.50 an hour over there. They're saying, we can't make money over here. Everybody with the tariffs, they're so simplistic. It's $2.50 an hour. It's much worse than that. They got to deal with 14 different departments, and that's at the state level, and 14 different agencies at the federal level. They're harassed. They're audited. They're hated. So they say, you know what, we've had enough.
You know what? Nobody's going to be able to afford even a Mexican-made Carrier air conditioner because the American people are broke. They're not shopping at Walmart anymore. They're broke. American people don't have jobs. And these are Carrier...
No, American people don't have the jobs that they ought to have. And that's due to exactly the kind of social engineering, government-run, top-down decision-making that some of the people who support these massive tariffs across the board... Tariffs from China. What tariffs in China? What are you talking about? What do you want to put tariffs on? Tell the whole world so we all know.
The trade bills. You think it was a big corporation?
What? You're jumping around like a ping pong ball. You're all over the map, aren't you?
No, I'm not. I'm exactly right.
No, now you're into the trade bills. We can talk about the trade bill. Which trade bill would you like to talk? I said, which trade bill would you like to talk about?
NAFTA.
And tell me about it.
Yeah. What about NAFTA?
Yeah, tell me about it.
Cheap goods made by slave labor, and you don't think
NAFTA was passed in 94, 95? So why is Carrier leaving 20 years? Goodbye, thank you. She keeps talking over me. I can't deal with that. I'm more than happy to have a discussion, even a debate. But if somebody's so emotional, they can keep yelling over me and bouncing all over the place. Okay, let's talk about NAFTA. What did NAFTA do? Carrier's been here over 20 years since NAFTA was passed. It's not NAFTA, it's the EPA. If it's not the EPA, it's another department of the federal government. It's New York and the state of New York and these other states that are killing these companies. They're not required to stay. They're Americans, too. They can leave and say, the hell with this. It's better that they go broke. But the bigger issue here is liberty. Liberty. Maybe some people really don't believe in liberty. Really. Because all I keep hearing is fairness and equality, like you can have fairness and equality in the building of air conditioners all over the world in the United States. What does that mean? What are the rules, then? What are the rules for fairness and equality? Everybody gets paid exactly the same? Sounds like the NEA. And who's going to decide that? Oh, we're all going to sit around a table? Who all is going to sit around a table? Well, I'm explaining, letting other people explain as well.